And what is up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Welcome to Talking Ball, y'all. I am Cass Hargis. That is Jason Dewey and Lance Lacoste. And we are here, and we're glad you are here to recap Week 7. And what a week it was. Going through and previewing Week 7 on last Tuesday, we half jokingly said it was hard to find just 9 games. I think we ended at 12. And did they live up to the billing? But what a weekend. I know, Lance, you were able to call the Warren Eastern Holy Cross game. Jason, you had a big week for you and your family, so congratulations. And
Thank you.
I hope all is well with y'all. So now we get you for about an hour tonight to kind of get your mind back right.
Y'all get to steal me for an hour.
There we go. We got you. Big weekend to do a household, but congrats to you and your family. Let's just get into it. We started Tuesday night's preview show talking about District 2 5A, and we highlighted the Washita-West Monroe game as well as the Ruston Neville game. And I don't think either one could have delivered any more than what they did. Washita goes to West Monroe. West Monroe wins 39-25. Final score a bit deceiving. This was a wild game with one of the more crazy plays that we're going to see during the season. I would think. I'll touch on that round, and then we'll hit to the big points of the game. But in the fourth quarter, Washita has a 1-point lead. They're driving. I think there was like 6 or 7 minutes left. They throw a pick six. West Monroe picks it off, returns it to the end zone for a touchdown. There was a flag thrown. The referee ran into a fan on the field coming off the sideline. The flag was thrown. And not only did they wipe the touchdown off the board, they gave the football back to Washita Parish. Once that happened, Coach DeMichael Dizer, obviously not too pleased with that, ends up getting ejected from the game for arguing. West Monroe ends up going on to win the game on the legs of Christian Ponte. That guy's, for obvious reasons, I think we can call him Tommy Banks Light. But, man, what a ball game up in West Monroe. One other note, and this is I heard this listening to some recaps on the radio. Washita's only beaten West Monroe 2 times in their entire series that they played. So this would have been a huge win for Washita. Nonetheless, West Monroe gets the victory 39-25.
Seems like a pretty clean football game outside of some pretty crazy plays. But, I mean, the moments of the game now I'm looking for from a coaching standpoint, just about every great coach out there talks about the 4x4, the last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of that second half, such a crucial moment of the game that often goes overlooked. And so right at the end of the first half, Cade Gilliott throws a touchdown, gives West Monroe a 14-7 lead, come out from the second half. Ponte, like you talked about, Tommy Banks Light goes down and he gets in the end zone, and so takes a the old Madden double score, right? They go up 21-7, and you look at the end of it, that you end up with a 14-point deficit if you're Washita. So I think that was a crucial part of that football game. When you're a good football team like West Monroe is proving, it just seems like they're winning the situational football from week to week, and that's what it takes to beat some great opponents like Washita.
I had a little bit of time, so I got to watch a lot more games than usual this week. So I did get to watch this game, and a big thing to keep in mind is when you talk about that touchdown at the end of the first half, man, Jordan Coleman, the guy I talked about before the season, made a snag. Went up and just an incredible catch in the end zone, but really momentum played a lot in this game. It seemed like it swung in Washita Parish's favor at a few moments. But really, field position is really what got the job done for West Monroe. Forced them to punt within their own. They did a great job punting, pinning them deep a few times. They were forced to punt near the end of the game, which West Monroe took the lead on. They punted the football, and I think it was a 1-yard punt for Washita Parish guys. It was like a 1-yard punt. So they punched the ball in. Then, as you mentioned, Cass, they go in that defensive series. Look, I came away really impressed with the playmakers on Washita Parish. They look, Whitell Clark is a wide receiver who's really, really an impressive guy to watch. On a hitch route, spun around, went down the field for about 50 yards. He's really incredible athlete. We know we talked about Connor at quarterback, and MJ Dade, really impressive back. But despite all the talk about Trez Davis, had a kind of a quiet night, maybe because they focused a lot on him. But Ponte really ran like a man possessed. Really an impressive effort for that team, and this is why they are a team to beat. This is why this is a team coming into the season. We said, look, we know a lot of people are looking around the district and saying that there's a lot of teams to keep your eye on. And people are kind of writing off West Monroe. And we knew coming in, this was going to be a good football team. And they proved time and time again, you have to keep your eye on this team. They are a team to be reckoned with in Division I non-select.
Yeah, and especially we know the athlete and playmaker that Davis is. But if you're going to take him away and you're going to allow – and Christian Ponte's able to do what he does. He rushed for 235. He averaged over 10 yards a carry. Offensively with West Monroe, if they're able to be that explosive without giving the ball to, I guess theoretically is their best playmaker, if they can still do that, watch out for this team. And then on the Ouachita side, you start the year off 5-0, and then you lose 2 straight to Ruston and West Monroe. You're waking up Saturday morning, and those 2 games, they could have won the game. You could be 7-0. And that they're staring at they host Neville next week. So this District 2-5A doesn't get, there's no rest for the weary. We talk about the same thing in the Catholic League, and it's the same thing up in North Louisiana in 2-5A. Speaking of Neville and Ruston, and the 100th game between these two, which is one of the most storied rivalries, not just in North Louisiana, but in the entire state. Another great football game. Ruston wins 41-37. Game hosted by Neville. This was a game of momentum shifts. It was 30-13 in the middle of the third quarter. Ruston comes back, it scores late to go up 41-37. Neville gets the ball back one last time at the end of the game, just wasn't able to go down and score. But 2 great football teams, and what an atmosphere and what an environment for these 2 to play up in Neville.
So it was Neville and Ruston. You might have already said it was their 100th time playing.
Yep.
And Neville was up big. And then I think everything that you would have hoped for if you were Ruston down by 17 points, you would hope that it gets sloppy and gives yourself a chance. It looked like it got real sloppy. And so I'm seeing fumbles, turnovers, interceptions that turned into fumbles, that turned into touchbacks, onside kick that was recovered. And so
of course there was.
Always.
Yeah, that's been a theme of it. But it seems like everything that kind of needed to go wrong for Neville to lose this game late happened. And so certainly this doesn't make Neville any lesser of a team than what we thought. It looks like they just had a really bad quarter. It couldn't finish strong here. Now they're sitting at 4-3, which is pretty crazy to look at, knowing how good they are. And I think we're going to dig into this a little bit later. But Neville looks like they're going to be that team that is going to be not a great ranking that everybody's trying to avoid in the playoffs. And so this is a heck of a win for Ruston. We know their pedigree and should never count those guys out.
Watching this game, it truly felt like Neville dominated the game for 3 quarters. There were moments where Ruston would break a big play, but it still felt like they were so far behind what Neville was able to accomplish. The connection between Parker Robinson and Imar Slade, they connected for 2, at least. One was like a 70-yard touchdown. Another one was like a 35-yard touchdown. They were connecting. They did come up short in the red zone, though. There was a few opportunities they had in the red zone, and they weren't able to punch it in twice. One time they didn't. Actually, there was 3 times. One time they weren't able to convert. Ruston ends up throwing a pass backwards in the end zone, and they recover for a touchdown. So, the score in this game is what's shocking is the way that Ruston was able to continue to fight and come back in this game. It seemed like they were out. Powell made some nice runs in this game, but really, what really impressed me, and I talked about this before the game, I said really a lot of this is going to fall on the shoulders of the Ruston quarterback. And there was a lot of mistakes, guys. Made no mistake about it. There was a lot of mistakes. The offensive line had struggled holding up. I thought Neville did a great job showing blitz, giving some exotic looks. They threw the kitchen sink at him. But really, quarterback for Ruston, Sam Hartwell, 18 of 32, 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown after a game that might not have been his cleanest, but he came up big in big situations, got the ball to his playmakers, and just a really impressive effort, and shows even when Ruston looks like they're down and out, even on what you could argue was maybe their worst day of football, they still find a way to pull out a win. And that's why this team has got to be one of the front runners.
Yeah, and when you talk about Hartwell for Rustin, his stat line, he had 3 fumbles as well. So for that young man to come back and do what he did after the way the game started for them, it does. It shows, the stuff that Rustin's made of. Ahmad Hudson, 7 catches, 125 yards. He's always going to be in the middle of it as well as Powell. I think for Neville, you have a 17-point lead in the middle of the third quarter, and it's almost like once one thing goes wrong, and playing at home in front of their crowd with that type of atmosphere probably didn't help them in this spot, because as soon as one thing goes wrong and the second thing goes wrong, what starts to happen is everyone in the stand starts to feel it too. And it's like, what's going to happen next? What's going to be the next thing to go wrong? And that's tough to stop. That bad momentum is tough to stop. And credit to Rustin for capitalize on it and just keep playing the game and make some things happen. And what a ball game. What a ball game. And again, Neville coming off of this tough loss, they go to Ouachita next week. That's going to be a huge football game. And if you're Neville, you feel like you let this one get away. You had a lead late against St. Thomas More. You let that one get away. So it's 2 ball games that really you look back and you should have won the game. Now you're 4-3 facing a tough Ouachita team next week. So tough spot for the Tigers. Speaking of atmospheres, environments, great football, and rivalries, holy cow. East Ascension and St. Amant. East Ascension wins 49-48. St. Amant scores with 2 seconds left. A young man that we highlighted on Tuesday, Cooper Babin, a trigger man for that Gator offense, scores to make it 49-48. And, of course, you go for 2 in the win. And they run a throwback, and they just weren't able to complete it. And they lose 49-48 to EA. But, man, what a night. We thought this game would be close, exciting, and something weird would happen. That's kind of exactly what happened. These offenses, again, led by Cooper Babin for St. Amant, East Ascension junior receiver, Jeremiah Merriweather, 6 catches, 161 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown. What a football game this was down in St. Amant.
There's so many great finishes and great games this weekend, but this one, if I had to pick one, this had to be the best one for so many reasons. I saw some videos and pictures of the atmosphere. This had to be the best atmosphere on the weekend. I mean, it was just incredible. It looked like it was just a packed house. And we always talk about those schools in that area. It just feels like what high school football is supposed to look like. And so great atmosphere, great rivalry. For it to end the way it did makes it even that much sweeter. Things to point out, J.J. LaBeouf, the backup quarterback for EA, he played in place. So for EA to put up 49 points with a backup quarterback says everything you'd want to know about Coach Brock Mathern and Coach Chaponche, the offense coordinator out there. And so huge win, just finding a way to win, not using the quarterback situation as an excuse here, right? I mean, they found a way to still put up 49 points and needed every single one of them.
And
hey, he completed 9 passes for 218 yards.
Yeah,
like that's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah, and to that point, when you have a guy out, somebody needs to step up. And it looks like Jeremiah Merriweather was that guy. He stepped up, scored 4 total touchdowns. And so he was catching passes, and there's a lot of yak involved.
Yep.
Guys, what's crazy is a week ago we were talking about how they looked off against Prairieville. And it seems like that was part of it that I missed in doing some of that research. Is I knew that it wasn't the same quarterback I saw earlier in the year. I thought they might have shuffled quarterbacks. I hadn't gotten to watch a ton of their games, but I watched this one in full. Guys, the job that Coach Chaponche did as OC, unbelievable. Guys, I told you about Briston Martinez, the tight end, 6'6", 290. Guys, they were lining him up at Wildcat. He ran a touchdown in, looked like the fridge, runs a touchdown in, okay? Then he passes for a touchdown and makes a catch down the sideline. Like, this is mixed in with the success offensively that they're having, as well as really a guy who I've talked about a bunch is Jason Blackburn, their running back. A 23-yard touchdown and a 46-yard touchdown on the night. He's lightning quick, can move. I thought their offensive line did an excellent job. On the other side, Santa Monica moved the football. They did really well. They went down 2 scores to start the second half, and it was to their detriment. That really ended up being what kind of cost them trying to play catch-up in the second half. But a really fun football game to watch, a lot of offense, a lot of fireworks, going to the pit. I've gotten to play in both environments at Spartan Stadium and at the Pit. Two really fun environments to play in and to watch football games. And Coach Broadmonturn's first win in the rivalry out in that area.
Yeah, and you're right. Lance said it. This does that area of that district. It feels like that's like, the prototypical high school football Friday nights. And this rivalry, the win by EA actually ties the rivalry up at 23 apiece, which all great rivalries, you need both teams to win. Going, I don't know if we're going to talk about them later, so I'll mention them now. But back to that Prairieville team, Jason, they've won 3 in a row. Yeah. I don't know. They've won. So that may turn into some more rivalry going on down there in that part of the state.
Listen. So to win that game, okay, we don't have that one listed. That's why we're talking about it now. But to win that game, they had to make a stop on the goal line against a Live Oak team that's been really impressive offensively. Only gave up 28 points to them. So this Prairieville team is going to be a team we're going to be talking about in the near future, but really has done incredible work in the next 2 weeks. And this is a wide open district, guys. We're going to talk about some more games in that district later on.
Yep. No, it's a fun district to cover. The atmospheres, the stadiums, the teams. It's fun to follow. In the same area of the state, kind of, I guess, up in Zachary, Louisiana, this may be the shocker of the night. Liberty goes to Zachary. And I don't know that the shocker was that they won. That wasn't something we saw. But to put up 52 points and win 52-31 a week after West Monroe shut you out 40-0, or 2 weeks after West Monroe shut you out 40-0, is about this Liberty team. That's impressive for them to bounce back like that. Quarterback Bryce Presson, 9 for 15, 184 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. But his legs, man, he had 9 rushes for 133 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's a big-time performance by that young man. And Zachary just didn't seem to have enough offense.
It was maybe 3 games that really stuck out to me as like pretty surprising this weekend, and this was probably number 1. And I say that really out of respect to Zachary. If there's one program that I feel like I always know exactly what I'm going to get and see, it's the Zachary program. And I say that because I've been out there and seen how they build from the ground up all the way down to their junior high program. I know, Cash, you're a big 8th grade football coach. Have you ever seen the Zachary? Have you ever seen the Zachary Elite Junior High program? Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I've seen. Well, I think Curtis might have played. Somebody played them, and I saw a little bit of it. But yeah, what they do with their community, it's
insane.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. It's so impressive. But and so to see just everything from their junior high program to the strength and conditioning department and all that, like it's like this is a machine out there.
Yep.
And so for Liberty to pull this off, especially late in the game where it's a close game, and so it felt like early in the game, all right, Liberty's giving them a run for their money, but certainly Zachary will pull away late. It turned into the opposite where Liberty was the one that pulled away late. And so, yeah, I now I want to know more about this Liberty football team all of a sudden because they don't have a great record. But this is one of the most craziest wins I've seen, and they did it in dominant fashion down the stretch.
And a catchphrase of mine, I got to watch this one, at least this week. But listen, guys, but what's crazy about this game is Liberty threw a ton of different looks at them. They were going 9 down linemen. They were going empty with quads to one side. They were running the football at will. And to credit, look, Zayden Foster is a back that's one of the top 3 or 4 backs in the state in terms of yardage. He ran for over 300 yards in this game. So we're talking about the quarterback and wide receiver play, but this guy was the bell cow back, really had an incredible game. But what you talk about pulling away late, Zachary had a chance to go down the field, and they get the red zone, they throw an interception. And what does Liberty do with a 96-yard field? They go in the 3-minute drive down the field, 96 yards, and cap off the game to end it with 52 points. I was really impressed. Zachary it seemed like they struggled to adjust, guys. They were putting 6 on the line, trying to find a way to counter it. But we know the more you guys you put on the line, once you break that initial line, you got a ton of room to run. And I thought Foster did an excellent job. The offensive line held up. The RPOs were called at the perfect time. But this is a Liberty team. If you guys watch every episode, I talked about them a few weeks ago and said they are better than what their record shows. And this week, really making a statement win against one of the elite programs in the state.
Yeah, and I misspoke earlier. I said they lost to Western Road a few weeks ago. It was Catholic of Baton Rouge that they lost to.
Yeah.
But they also have a loss to Salmon and a loss to Lutcher, and it's a Lutcher team that's been not the typical Lutcher team. But it's obvious that this team has talent if they can do this to Zachary. I would like to add, Lance, this one's for you here, though. Did you see what Zachary wore?
Oh, I could have guessed it. Baby blue. They had to be baby blue.
Baby blue jerseys.
Baby blue jerseys.
It was a brand new look. It was brand new look. They had a white helmet, baby blue jersey, red pants. I added that note just for Lance.
Yep.
I knew he would love that.
That's sad.
Baby
I feel bad for those kids.
Yeah, they should have known it before the
They
game.
got set up for failure there.
Guys, if y'all need to know, contact Lance before, and then you'll be good to go. You'll know exactly what not to wear.
No baby blue.
Well, you can't wear baby blue. There's no like North Carolina. No chance of being any good.
Well, they got a myriad of problems. I don't think the baby blue is the only thing they got going on there.
I think that's where it starts.
Well, they get it right.
Oh, that's funny. When I saw that, I was like, "Yep, they got to do it. Got to do it." I feel like we're 3-4 games in, and all of these games have been down to the wire. Just wild finishes. And we talked about this one on Tuesday. It ended this way last year. It did it again this year. But St. Charles hosting Legacy School of Sport and Science from Texas. St. Charles wins 35-31. They score with 18 seconds left. My man Skylar Edwards has a 4-yard touchdown run for the win. They got the ball with a little under 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter and go on a 13-play, 72-yard drive to go win the game against an extremely talented school, Legacy School of Sport and Science out of Texas.
So I dug in a little bit to find out a little bit more about this Legacy School of Sports and Science, and what I've learned is that they are built to be a powerhouse in athletics. Yep. They are loaded with money. I don't know where the money comes from, but they have a ton of money. That's why they've already been to Louisiana twice. And so I'm just pointing that out to make sure it's understood that this is a unbelievable victory for St. Charles Catholic. Legacy has a quarterback, 5-star quarterback. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Kelsey and Henderson going to Houston. He looked like a 5-star quarterback. He's beautiful back there in the pocket, pretty athletic as well. Throws a great ball, of course. And so this is an extremely impressive win by St. Charles Catholic. But how did they do it? They did it with turnovers, and they did it with special teams like they tend to do. And so really impressive work by Coach Stein. Not that we're super shocked, because this is what they do out there at St. Charles Catholic. But, they found a way to win, and this is a really good football team that they beat.
St. Charles
more than a football team, big program.
Yeah, look, St. Charles was stagnant offensively for the entire night. When you look at the numbers, it was they were outgained. It was 500 to 150. It was 505 to 172 was the total yards against them. Henderson is a guy who even heard an interview with Coach Wayne Stein after the game, and he said that's the best athlete he's ever coached against, best athlete he's ever had to defend. Now, think about the list of guys he's had to coach against. That includes Joe McKnight. That includes Elijah McGuire, who had a field day with this defense years ago when he played from Vanderbilt Catholic. So for that statement to be made says something. Look, they had 14 points in the first half, guys. And one came from a pick six from Dax Prejean, and then it was they returned a kick for a touchdown. Also, Dax Prejean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Legacy School had to do a double pass at the end of the first half to score as time expired to take the lead. St. Charles pushed this team to the limit, and it just goes to show they just find a way to win. We talk about program wins, talk about resiliency. And we talked about that coming into this game, and they've just dug deep and found a way to pull it off. And really impressive win for the St. Charles team.
Yeah, and that's just what they do, and that's what they've always done under Coach Monica and now Coach Wayne Stein. Down in the New Orleans area, big one in District 9-5A in the Catholic League. This one was actually played on Saturday night at Joe Yenny. St. Aug with a 26-3 victory over Rummel. And before we get into it, Lance, Rummel wore red jerseys. So your theory may be off a little bit, or St. Aug might just be that good. And I think it's probably more of that. This St. Aug team, their only blemish is to Carr in a game which was extremely competitive. Still shocking to see this score with the way Rummel has been playing as of late, really all year, but especially as of late. But again, we thought the matchup would be the Rummel defensive backs matching up well with the St. Aug offense and the receivers. They just proved to be too much. Although Bashan Coulon, he only threw for 161 yards. He used his leg to score 2 touchdowns. He also threw for 2 touchdowns. But Miguel Whitley had 8 catches, not big yardage-wise, only 56 yards, was able to find the end zone. A game that just kind of got away from Rummel just a little bit.
So the game started almost exactly the way I talked about, thinking and hoping that it would start if you wanted Rummel to win. And so, but I already talked about this, the 4x4. So at the end of the first half, it's so important to finish the first half strong. And I've been on both sides of it, where you're talking about 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, you go into that locker room, with a lead or behind or a big play that gives you the lead or puts you behind. It's a whole different energy, whole different confidence that you talk about when you go into that locker room. And so that it feels like that's where the game went wrong for Rummel. Rummel muffed the punt late in the first half, didn't finish the half strong. Coulon comes out or goes down the field, gets some points right before halftime. St. Aug goes in with a 7-3 lead at halftime, never looked back, as they obviously went on a huge run in the second half. But, it just feels like, man, it's those little mistakes that could be such a game changer, just enough confidence and momentum to really get those St. Aug kids believing in what they're doing. And, and not St. Aug is obviously they're a great football team. And to see what they did defensively versus Rummel, that was the most surprising thing, to see Rummel only score 3 points.
Yeah.
The biggest play in the first half was a big run from Corian Hawkins, the Rummel running back. And if I told you that coming into this game, you said you're full of it. The first half, I think it was like a 56-yard run or something along those lines. And it looked like early on, after St. Aug drove down the field, was forced to punt, it looked like this is the moment. If Rummel is going to win this football game, this is you got to punch it in. And they were held to 3. And from that moment, it seemed like it was kind of back and forth, very, low, obviously a low-scoring game in terms of what St. Aug likes to do, what they've done the entire year. But really, it felt like the game was kind of in the balance for a large part until that short field. Guys, St. Aug they had to score on short fields a few times. They had to find a way they struggled to move the ball the full length of the field. Now, of course, they came up with plays. Of course, you're going to have Miguel Whitley come up with a catch because that's what he does. Of course, Coulon is going to make plays with his feet and his arm because they got guys all around him. But what really impressed me is we talked about this coming in. The question was, can St. Aug win in these kind of grinded out games? And I talked about the St. Aug defense being underrated. They proved it. Like they really nullified anything offensively Rummel was trying to do. And when your offense isn't staying on the field and you're going as a high-powered offense like St. Aug, you're going to get gassed. And eventually that's what happened. But hats off to the St. Aug team who continues to find ways to win double digits, even against what Lance was saying was maybe arguably the hottest team in Louisiana at the moment. So this is a big win for them. A revenge game from last year in overtime. This is a really impressive win for the St. Aug team. Yeah, no, and,
in these big games, especially in these districts or these battles with teams that are, for the most part, similar in talent, which the talent level's high. Really good coaching staff is going to come down to special teams and turnovers. St. Aug forced 3 turnovers and did not commit one, and that's how you end up winning a game, 26-3. One other note in this game, and it's just, I don't know, not shocking, maybe not the word, just surprising to see Chad Jones, that Chad Jones' son, had an interception in this game. So that's it makes me feel a little bit old, but good for him. Good for him. Elsewhere in Baton Rouge, or north of Baton Rouge in Central, Catholic of Baton Rouge, again, we talked about them seemingly every episode. It's a program that just wins. They go to Central, put up 57 points, 57-28. Jaden Miles, running back for Catholic, had 13 carries for 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 3 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. And when we could roll through all of the stat line for these guys, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 guys listed on the stat line that had multiple carries, bunch of yards. One of them's a quarterback, and Turner Goldsmith. They have so many weapons, and they dress it up so well, and they're so fundamentally sound in their scheme. They're so hard to beat, and it's still kind of – I'm still kind of dumbfounded by the Central defense of how talented they are to give up 57 points at home to a really good Catholic team. But Catholic just kind of flexing their muscle.
Yeah, I was going to take it in that direction a little bit too. I'd love to hear. I know Jason knows the personnel of that Central defense a little bit better, maybe dig into that. But I'm shocked by the Central defense giving up so many points. But as you said, Catholic can beat you in so many ways. I mean, we've seen like 3 different quarterbacks for Catholic, right? Yeah. I mean, this is Turner Goldsmith having a huge day, 4 touchdowns. Coming into the season, we were talking about Baylor Graves being a guy that was going to be a great quarterback for him. I mean, they have so many players. It feels like they have weapons everywhere, even at the quarterback position. And then what goes really, I guess, under the radar is their offensive line is really, really good as well. And so, and if anybody knows the Catholic program, incredible weight room situation. Coach Matt Bruce, probably definitely the best high school strength coach in Louisiana. And so, I mean, these guys, they just they're big, they're strong, they're old, and they just got weapons everywhere. And so, it's not shocking to see Catholic do what Catholic does. It's more shocking, in my opinion, to see the Central defense that was in the Dome just a year ago, ton of recruits all over the place, giving up 57 points still.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you, Lance. I really don't. It's surprising to me, too. I will say if Catholic is so versatile, and I continue to say it week in and week out, but the way that they can throw out any formation. They can go empty. They can go 4 wide. They can go 11. It doesn't matter what they want to come out in. They just execute. They're fundamentally sound. They execute really well on offense. Their defense has just playmakers all over the field. Harrison Kidder is a guy I haven't even really talked about a ton. Yeah. He's like a really underrated guy who can go make plays along with, of course you got Bradford, who is just a freak of nature at safety. Talked about Jaden Vessel. But this Catholic defense has been smothering. But guys, I mean, Catholic goes in and goes up 19-0. What can you really do at that point? And look, I will say Central fought back and made it a game, but it's really difficult to go down by 19 points to this football team and find your way out of it.
Well, in this particular matchup, Central, what was the last time Central beat them? Was how long ago?
We talked about
that. It was 2012.
2012.
Yeah. So
they've lost 4 straight.
When you show up and immediately go down 19-0, there's no doubt in my mind that it was here we go again. It was just here we go again. And yes, they did come back and make it close, but it's one of those things where like if on Central side, you had to be the team that went up 19-0. Like that was going to feel like that was their chance to kind of race out to a big lead early and then just kind of coast to the end. But man, again, this Catholic, the O-line, every unit that they have, they're so well coached. There's it's impressive. It is very impressive what they do year in and year out.
Central does. It feels like they came on really late last year, guys. Like it felt like they kind of just all of a sudden turned it up at the end of the year and went on that incredible run. So I'm definitely not saying that this is Central down and out, like poor old Central. Because look, we talked about they got the talent, they got the skills. They got the coaching. Coach Semino's a really great coach. So I think they can turn it on. Just not their night, but moving forward, it's interesting to see if they can replicate that late season success they had last year.
Now, Central, they are Division I non-select or Division II?
Division I non-select.
Okay, all right.
So they're going to be with West Monroe.
They knocked out West Monroe. They knocked out West Monroe last year in the quarterfinals. Yep. And speaking of teams and programs that are impressive, over in this game actually took place in Crowley. Notre Dame hosted Lafayette Christian. This was one we highlighted, and Lafayette Christian kind of took care of this one pretty early. But this is such an impressive performance by this team to go on the road and beat Notre Dame 41-7. We noted that LCA has beaten now 4 of the 5 teams that beat them last year. Notre Dame beat LCA last year in the regular season. before LCA beat them in the playoffs, but they did lose to them in the regular season. We talked about Braylon Walker, we talked about Braden Allen, and we kind of circled Caden Bellard, their running back, as the key to this, and how he was going to go, is how the offense was going to go. He had 20 carries, 109 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But the story of tonight's got to be the defense. This Knights defense holds Notre Dame to 7 points. This is a Notre Dame offense that's been very multiple and very explosive. They've averaged 35 points a game. LCA holds them to 7. Bellard rushes for 100 plus. Braylon Walker throws 3 touchdowns and no picks, and that's the recipe for how you get a 41-7 extremely impressive victory for LCA.
Yeah, and it's really 2 weeks in a row, right? I mean, it's so easy to look at this LCA offense. They've done it all year, but yeah, this LCA defense is becoming just as big of a story where, I mean, if you can't score and then you got Braylon Walker on the other side you're trying to hold down, there's no way you beat this football team, And so, I mean, I think this whole thing just goes to the strength of schedule that LCA has played. They're getting into the district now when even the best teams in their district are just no match for them because of what they've already seen Rommel and they've seen Shaw and they've seen so many good teams that this is a walk in the park for these guys. It's really impressive.
When you prepare for a game at such a high level, because you've had all these non-district games, it really this is the fruits of your labor. Right, they're finally reaping the rewards of what they sowed at the beginning of the year, and still getting to that schedule with only 1 loss up to this point. It is really remarkable, and it was an uncharacteristic game. But guys, talking about defense, Luke Green, UL commit, 10 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and a sack on the game, and also Jamison Marzell, 13 tackles and 1 sack on the game. They fly to the football. They are just a fun team to watch. And they're in the Division III select part of the bracket. We talked about this is a bracket that's full of teams. They've got some really competitive teams in that bracket. I know Calvary's in that bracket as well. Obviously Notre Dame, but with the way they've tested themselves up to this point, it's really hard to argue against this team being the front runner at this point in the season.
Yeah, I think I said it last week, and it's not like we're in the season isn't young anymore. Like, we played 7 weeks, and through 7 weeks, they might be the most impressive team in the state. When you think about the numbers that they're 6-1, but when you think about the numbers that they have going up against these teams, and outside of one, just awful night on the West Bank, they've been clean. It's been efficient. We can use all those words in the world, but I don't think it does it any justice. It's just how good this team has been and how good they are. So hats off to Coach Matt Stanford down there at LCA. And there's a big one in 2 weeks. It's not a district game for them, but they host Evangel in week 9. So that'll be a very fun football game.
Defense versus offense. It's about the defense of this team. Only 7 points in the last 2 weeks. That'll be a fun one to watch.
Yes, no, that's going to be a big-time matchup there. And good for them for scheduling that one in the middle of the district. Elsewhere in District 5, 5A, Dutchtown goes to Denham Springs and loses 42-24. Dutchtown, a team that came into the week as the district leader. Denham Springs quarterback Dejan Gulman, 14 of 20 passing for 229 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's great if that's all you do, but that's not all he did. He also ran the ball 11 times for 87 yards and scored a touchdown. They can get those kind of numbers from that position. Tough to stop, but this is a very impressive win for Denham Springs. The Denham Springs team, we mentioned them before, but they have over 40 seniors. This is a program, Coach Beard, that's kind of been building up and trending this way. Very impressive for this Denham Springs team.
Let's point out, too, that Dejan Goldman's throwing to his twin brother, Deshaun Goldman, who caught 2 touchdowns from him. So that's pretty awesome. But, I was really excited to see this one. I'm a kind of a closet fan of Denham Springs, Coach Brett Beard. He's a big weight room guy. He's got a great strength coach and Coach Joe Ryan. And so I know a lot about these guys. Very old team, 40-plus seniors on the team, big physical group. And so I think they are an underrated 5-2 football team that could get into the playoffs and really make some noise. We talk about all the time. They have a great home field advantage, and they've played in some big environments as well. So, you've got to figure this is a team that is, again, they're back in a race for the district hunt as far as winning a district championship, and then they will be very battle tested wherever they need to go or whoever comes to them in the playoffs as well.
Denham Springs in that capital region kind of gets overlooked on the amount that they love their football team. They have a beautiful facility. They do a great job. I follow their media team online, covering the events and all of it. It's really just speaks to the community support for this program. But Brenton Paul, a guy we didn't talk about as well, he ran exceptionally well too. Guys, he's been averaging 150, 175. I think he ran for like two. Let me see, what did he run for this game? It was I don't have the number, but I know it was at least like 150. I remember like 250 the week before. He's been all over the field. But they scored a touchdown to start this game, came with an onside kick, got it, and they went up 14-0. And when this team gets cooking offensively, they're really hard to stop. Guys, Dutchtown is a team that's felt like they've kind of run 5-5-A for a minute. It feels like they've kind of been in control of that district. This is a wide open district, and it is so fun to see. Denham Springs in the hunt. They lost to East Ascension, who goes to Santa Monica and wins a game on the road, having to deal with the pit, then running through the Big Gator, big rivalry matchup, right? Prairieville, with only one district loss at the moment, who's really come onto the scene. I think this is one of the most exciting districts in the state, that because everybody talks about the Catholic League or because everybody talks about 2-5-A, kind of goes a little bit under the radar. But, man, there's some really good football being played here, and I can't wait to follow this as it continues to move along.
And that gator is awesome, by the way. Have you seen that? That is awesome.
It is cool, man. Look, if you can't get excited about this kind of stuff, and you're talking high school football, like what do you get excited about, man? Like
that's what makes it awesome. That's what makes it so much fun. It's awesome. This district kind of personifies all that is just great about Louisiana high school football, and they're all competitive. It's all. It's fun. And you're right. You got a team like Prairieville, who's such a young program. They have one district loss. It's crazy. It's crazy. But if you're the Gators, you got to have a big Gator tunnel. And that's the only way. What else you do? You got to.
But again, look, Prairieville, guys, what a story, man. Here and again, we don't have anything pulled up for them because we didn't plan on talking about them. But year 2, and they're in the hunt for this district title. Skylar Kelly is a guy offensively running the football. He's like according to some stat finding online, like he's like top 15 rushing in the state. He's a quarterback. So I just think it's really one of the most fun, unexpected. You don't know what is going to happen in the next week districts in the entire state.
Yep, no doubt. We go from the St. Mike Gators running out of the Gator down to the parish. The high-flying Owls defeated North Shore 23-20. Chalmette kicks a 37-yard field goal with roughly 30 seconds left to go up by 3. North Shore returned the subsequent kickoff to about midfield, and they were able to get off a 42-yard field goal attempt as time expired. They missed it. Chalmette wins the game 23-20. Chalmette takes a 10-0 lead early. They were leading 10-0 at halftime. North Shore comes back and makes it a ball game late in the game. Look, Chalmette's 5-2. This is their first district game. They're now 1-0 in district. This North Shore team, man, we came in with maybe no expectations for them, and they, although in the loss, extremely impressive for them. So this North Shore program maybe kind of on the rise a little bit, but big win in the way that it was won for Chalmette.
It's tough to figure out North Shore every week. It's all close games, and they're just coming up on the wrong side of them. But to talk about Chalmette, early in the year, so they lost a good bit of their offensive weapons from last year. And so this year, they got a bunch of good players on their offensive side. It's just about figuring out how to use them and who's going to step up. Early in the year, it felt like every deep ball went to Dana Antoine. All of a sudden, Rayshawn Bingham is all over the highlights too. And so they're finding a second weapon for Breeze Wilson to throw to and spread it around a little bit more. And so I think that just makes them a much more complete offense than what me and Jason saw earlier in the year where they struggled against Holy Cross. With all that said, over the last just couple years, man, this Shellman High football team just finds ways to win close games. We saw it even in the playoffs last year. I think that is just a huge testament to their program. Coach Jason Tucker, the offense coordinator, Coach Kyle Walker, as well as the defense coordinator, Coach Joe St. Philip. And so I think just we're looking at close victories like this. It goes to just the way they play situations, the way they handle the clock, and those guys just being on the same page of how they're gonna get it done against good football teams.
You're talking about, the coaching job that's been done by Coach Jason Tucker. Guys, Bobby Nuss Stadium, he has more wins than the guy whose name is on the stadium in his time there. I mean, that's quite a feat. But the thing is, when you look at this team, they did enough offensively. They have a really good running back, North Shore does, and Ramon Williams, who they did enough to slow down in order to get this win. But this defense, Lance, we talked about, is really fun to watch. In a world of spread offenses and high-scoring points, Tim Taylor, 6'4", 200-pound end, is just a man up front. Lee Everidge is the guy who's running all over the field. There's just so many guys that you can point to. Tyree Darrensburg, the South Alabama commit, who's, again, I would argue one of the best linebackers in the state. They fly the football really well, and they grit it out. Like they might not blow you out by 50 points, but they're going to grind out the tight games, and that's why they're sitting at 5-2 right now with aspirations of claiming this district title.
Yeah, and I think it's to the point too now, especially after they made that run last year in the playoffs. Like they expect to win. So this is good for them. It's fun to watch, and I may be a little bit biased. Lance, you may be a little bit biased as well when we talk about the Owls, but it's good. It's good for the parish. It's good for those guys. They're doing a great job, and I hope to see them make another deep run in the playoffs. That'd be fun to follow. Not far from the parish in Slidell, Pope John Paul and North Lake Christian got in a 9-2A. It's a big-time matchup. May just decide the district championship. North Lake Christian wins 14-0. When we previewed this game on Tuesday, we talked about how both teams wanted to keep the ball on the ground, control the time possession, not turn it over. To that point, North Lake Christian rushed for 250 yards. 250 total yards, rushed for 207. Pope John Paul was held to 189 rushing total yards, but rushed for 153 yards. So not much of yardage by way of passing the football. Pope John Paul threw 2 interceptions in a red zone, both picked off by Charlie Gilmore of North Lake Christian, which essentially was the difference in a game in which North Lake Christian wins 14-0.
Yeah, I think there's a statement win by North Lake Christian. I mean, first off, they just look like a really big football team for a 2A football team. From the quarterback position to the running back position to even up front on the O-line, D-line, they just look big and physical, and it feels like they impose their will and their physicality on Pope John Paul. To see Pope John Paul, we talked about this on the last episode, Pope John Paul is not one to throw the football. So to see them throwing 3 interceptions tells you everything you need to know about how this game went, which is North Lake Christian was just better up front, and they forced Pope John Paul to have to put the ball in the air. That's not how Pope is going to win football games. And so I'm sure there's a great learning point for Coach Pygott and the Pope John Paul squad. It's a great measuring stick, of course, for those guys. But this is a matchup that I would really love to see happen again in the playoffs. I think this would be a really cool rematch.
Yeah.
Could get your wish. But when you look at this game, Jordan Willis had an interception in the red zone for North Lake Christian. Really a big key to winning this football game. And again, he kind of plays both sides of football. Had 2 catches as well. Kasnov over 100 yards. This is the kind of game that North Lake Christians kind of set themselves up to win. Like find a way, run the football extremely efficiently. They limited the run for Pope John Paul, and that's predominantly what they wanted to do. And it's found a way to get a win in district that, like I said, I'll be shocked if this didn't determine the district title between these two. So nice win for the Wolverines. New mascot for y'all, right? Wolverines. Did y'all know that one?
Come on.
You should. I say Cash should. Lance, you knew North Lake Christian Wolverines.
I did not know that one.
You know Pope John Paul's?
Jaguars. Easy.
There we go. All right, got 1 or 2.
Easy.
Still going.
Easy.
Still easier. Well, I think they're one of 2 teams that's the Wolverines, so I had to toss it out.
Michigan?
No, Mainsfield. Although they do have the Michigan M. Mainsfield is the only other one, to my knowledge, that has Wolverines. But in other news, look, good win for North Lake Christian. I really like this football team moving forward.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you again, they're big, they're physical, they look the part, so to speak. And, we could see this one again later on in the playoffs. So we go from a game in which both teams combined to throw for less than 100 yards, and then we go up to Shreveport for Destrehan and Captain Shreve. This was a non-district game. Destrehan scores 68 points, rolls 68-28. Malachi Dabney, 6 total touchdowns for Destrehan, 4 rushing, 2 receiving. Quarterback Jackson Fields, who I think we're all very high on, throws for 4 touchdown passes. This Destrehan offense seemed to be clicking on all cylinders, despite the whatever you want to say of Captain Shreve's defense. We knew that they could come in here and score a lot of points. I think this says maybe more about Destrehan and the fact that they hold Captain Shreve to 28 points. They take the long bus trip, they play clean football, and they get out of there with a big victory.
I'm pretty certain that Malachi Dabney scored 6 touchdowns last year against Captain Shreve as well, which is crazy. Not many people can say he scored 12 touchdowns in a career. He scored 12 touchdowns against the same opponent in 2 games. So, I mean, like in some ways, this game kind of went as expected, I think.
Yeah.
I think Captain Shreve hasn't really stopped anybody. And so this is probably one of the best offenses. I would say definitely one of the best offenses in Louisiana. So to see them go up there, I mean, if there was any concern, it would be can they travel 5 hours and do it? But they did it. Yeah, I mean, this offense is great. So to see them go up there and put up 68 points on Captain Shreve, not a huge shocker. I think Captain Shreve, they've got to figure out a way to give some kind of resistance. I mean, play guys both ways or something. I mean, they're giving up 60 points every week, it feels like.
Yep.
Destrehan is so talented offensively, and that's why you got a guy, like I said, Malachi Dabney, who people might be like, who's that? And guys, he's a ball. Like, he's a really impressive running back. Obviously 6 touchdowns, but it's the way he runs the football. He runs really hard, really elusive, but still has power. And that's on a team that has, a great quarterback, one of, if not the most impressive set of receivers in the state. I'm sorry, Car people. I know you're going to disagree, and I get it. And I'm not saying you're wrong. But, again, one of the most impressive wide receiver corps in the state in Destrehan, Kai Williams, like I said, Jabari Mack, Jalen Ash. And then you still got a back that can – you got Fields, that quarterback, can get them the ball. So not a shocking win that Destrehan went on the road and won the game in the manner that they did. But, guys, Captain Shreve, still 4-1 in district. Still have a chance to again, claim a piece of that district title in 1-5A.
No, they do. In the last 2 weeks, they've also given up 139 points. And that's not like that. No, it is. It is. And yes, that district does score a lot of points. It does get, kind of silly a little bit when it comes to offensive football. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to slow somebody down or stop them to go ahead and do that. So hopefully for Captain Shreve's sake, they can figure that out. Last one we'll hit, and then we'll kind of hit some quick hitters around the state. Down in Youngsville, Louisiana, the Ascension Episcopal, what's their mascot, Jason?
Blue Gators.
The Blue Gators, baby. The Blue Gators got to be the only one around. The Blue Gators.
Do they have a huge, inflatable or anything? Or
that's a good question. I don't know, but they do have. This isn't an inflatable; it's a statue. They have a Blue Gator in front of school. So, yeah.
You need to reach out to somebody, Cass. That's your people. They need to get a Blue Gator to run out of it. I'll be really disappointed if I make a trip out there.
I'll call Coach DiMaggio and see if we can make that happen for sure. But the Blue Gators
from the talking ball, y'all. We're not going to pay for it, but we'll
No, we're not paying for it. No. We're in on it. It could be our idea. But they beat the Screaming Eagles of Vermilion Catholic 35-14. Ascension Episcopal stays undefeated. That drops defending Division IV Select State Champ Vermilion Catholic to 1-5 on the season. Brandon Mitchell for Ascension Episcopal, their quarterback, had 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. This is, the struggle of the season after you lose all your playmakers and a bunch of experience continues for Vermilion Catholic. For Ascension Episcopal, it couldn't start. I guess, we're past the start of the season, but Coach Jay DiMaggio's first year as the head guy there could not have been going any better thus far as they're 7-0.
It feels like Division IV Select is pretty wide open this year. Seeing the state champ is obviously younger and not quite what they were a year ago, and so schools like Ascension Episcopal, Hamilton Christian, St. Edmund, it's going to be exciting to see how these guys kind kind of unfold in the in the power rankings and who matches up where. And so it should be a really fun Division IV select this year, and following that one. But this is an impressive win. I mean, again, we know Vermilion Catholic is a little younger compared to what they usually are, but this is nonetheless a very impressive win. I thought for sure this would be a closer game.
And this goes to show, I think Ascension Episcopal is a program, and guys, they've had turnover at the head coaching position in recent years. It seems like every other year these coaches are getting another opportunity, and they're moving on, and they still continue to find success. And that's just the benchmark of a really good program. And Ascension Episcopal is one of those. They might not get the notoriety or the headlines a lot of other teams do, but this is a consistent program in the state. They might be sitting in 1A. But, again, this is a team that people need to make sure they're paying attention to, like Lance said, come playoff time.
Yeah, and, what's crazy about this is we can start to talk power rankings a little bit now that we've got 7 games under our belt. But Vermilion Catholic at 1-5, they're still the 21 seed in Division IV non-select. And that's a team, and that's only going to get better the more they play because they're such an inexperienced team this year. Maybe they hit the playoffs, and because of the run last year, they kind of know what they're doing. They expect to go win, and they're able to win a playoff game. Anything else caught y'all's eye around the state? I know the St. Edmunds Sacred Heart game. We talked about St. Edmunds wins 58-36. Not only was it a good game, some great graphics as well, huh?
That was the coolest. That was the coolest thing. I sent it. So I sent it to the guys. It was. Man, look, Sacred Heart, they got a good production team. They had the Trojan fighting off a Blue Jay. That was pretty cool. I liked watching that. But look, Nathan Zaubecker, really impressive quarterback for them. We said coming into this game, Sacred Heart's done a great job of keeping games low scoring, even the tight game that they lost against Westminster of Opelousas. And they let it get away from them. St. Edmund returned a kickoff early on. They busted a big run, but really just St. Edmund they are a big 1A football team. They got 2 guys, I'm telling you, I don't have the measurements in front of me. Looked like they were at least 6'4", 6'5", pushing 300, 320, 350. This is a team in St. Edmund that they're going to catch somebody. Like they have a pretty good opportunity to make a run this year. And it wouldn't shock me if you saw them in the dome.
So shout out both of my high school alma maters here. Holy Cross, with their backup quarterback, found a way to score 42 points with really on the shoulders of Kieron Smith. But the offensive line played great. Some receivers made some big plays as well. Kieron Smith put up probably one of the most historic performances that I can think of at Holy Cross. He scored 6 touchdowns, one through the air, some long runs, everything you can imagine. He did it all. And then St. Mary's up in Natchitoches, big rivalry matchup. They went on the road, beat Montgomery 42-18. So really cool for those guys.
And what's impressive about what Kieron Smith did too is that Holy Cross playing a backup quarterback. So everybody in the stadium knew the football was going to him, and he still does what he does.
And he was putting 8 guys in the box. It didn't matter. They could have put 12 guys in the box. Somehow his legs never stopped, and I mean he was just unbelievable.
Natchitoches Central actually won their game against Byrd, a big win for them. I believe it was 31-28 in a tight matchup. But some other scores, we talked about the importance of this one coming in. Elton, even though they're Division IV non-select, this is a big game. And Hamilton Christian beat them 28-21. Hamilton Christian, a really impressive team. Javon Vital, really an impressive athlete for that team. But even with Elton, Macklin Lemoyne still broke for it was like 280 in that game and 3 touchdowns. Sitting in that big I formation. I really like Elton moving forward in that Division IV. They're a fun team to watch.
Do something a little bit different on offense. I like it.
Look. Sometimes when everybody is zigging, you want to zag. If everybody's going to go spread, empty, whatever they're going to do, go big or go split veer, right? Go something different, a different look. And I really think that's moving forward. I'm interested to see them. But
our Dragons going
all the road at Oak Grove to win 42-28.
That's impressive.
I tried to watch it. The stream was taken offline, so I didn't get a chance to. But on paper, this is a really impressive win for Mangum. The team that's felt like they've been so close so many times, maybe feeling like this is their opportunity, feeling themselves moving forward, even though they're, to Lance's point last week, even though Mangum is in 2A, they still play Division 4. So they're going to be a Division 4 team while Oak Grove is Division 3. So a really big win for them. And then one more note, guys. Trevin Simon for Ascension Catholic. Ascension Catholic won 57-35 against St. John, a very good St. John team, I might add. Guys, he only had 519 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns and 2 picks. Oh, no, I'm sorry, and an interception on defense. So
that's in one game.
Yeah. Like, that's probably one of the most impressive games we've seen from anybody, regardless of classification in the entire year.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was going to point out St. Charles Catholic, we already talked about. Bell Chase in that district also took care of business. They have a really good quarterback, Amari Ambrose, and then Shaw also took care of business 50-26. And so you're talking about those 3 teams in that district. That's going to be some great matchups coming up really soon. With 2 weeks away, I believe.
I think they all start playing next week, right? Yeah, next week.
So
I think they all play next week.
Yeah, so that's going to be some fun there.
But
and then one team that we haven't, I don't know if we've mentioned them at all this year, maybe one time, but Iowa, the Yellow Jackets, stay undefeated.
Yep.
They beat Washington Marion. Looking at the rest of their schedule, they have Leesville week 10. They have DeRidder week 10. The team that maybe could run the table. It's the semifinal team from last year, so keep an eye on those guys.
Yeah, they've been really impressive this year. Guys, Airline narrowly escapes against Houghton 36-28.
Defensive struggle.
Look, we've talked a lot about Airline this year, but guys, Houghton, they've struggled to get a lot of wins in the win column, man, but their offense has been exceptional. Taylor Weathersby at quarterback has done a phenomenal job. Brandon Craig at wide receivers put up big numbers. And then you also have another guy at receiver who's Ethan Johnson, who's, again, setting school records, guys. All these guys are setting up massive numbers offensively. If they can piece together enough defense, and if they get into the playoffs, I think they could pose a threat to somebody.
In 5A, this 3-5A, Acadiana wins big again. They've won now 4 in a row after losing their first 3 games. They have Southside next week, then Sam Houston. If they can get by those 2, that sets up a Week 10 matchup with Karen Crow, which could be, for the district championship, and then those 2 teams could also kind of kickstart their runs to the playoffs.
They lost to Southside, I believe, the last few times. Right? At the very least, they did last year, so that'll be a really fun to see. And they both run same type of offense. So
this is Southside team that hadn't lost since week 1 in Notre Dame. So that'll be a good one. Yep.
The other one that really surprised me this weekend was Hammond beating Mandeville 2017. Yeah. Mandeville came off a big win versus Covington and then loses to Hammond. So it just goes back to, this North Shore. It's like it's really hard to figure out who's good, who's not good. And maybe they're all pretty good, but it's like nobody is really, turning themselves into the top dog out there on that side of the lake.
That's so impressive for Hammond too. We can get to some more North Shore games as well. But last week we had the Hammond St. Paul's debacle on whatever. St. Paul's just runs them out the building. Yep. And last year, same thing happened, and it turned into a free for all for Hammond. So really good to see that program or the team get back on its feet and get a big win.
That's what we've talked about. The North Shore Covington. As Covington comes out with a 28-7 win over Slidell. Now, and this is, look, they win the game. That's okay. Hey, Slidell's been one of the best offenses in the state. They put up tons of numbers the entire year. So for them to be held to 7 points, maybe this is the wake-up call that Covington needed after losing to Mandeville. But again, this is a Covington team that in that North Shore that we talked about, like, you don't know what to make out of any team in any given week. It's been insanity over there.
It could have been in Covington's all gold uniforms. Those were sick. But that might have been the difference.
We were going to go there. No, that's right. They did look good, and I like to see. I love it because if your colors are going to be navy and gold, like wear gold. Like there's certain teams that they say their colors are gold, but the gold is yellow.
You can say it.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. But if you're going to be gold, wear gold. And Covington went, hey, we're all gold for sure. And Hammond, we don't know. Did we know when Hammond wore, Lance? Were they in?
I didn't
They
see
were
that. I'm not sure.
They were at home. So
they
they might have gone with some purple.
I'm going to tell you, their black helmet, I'm sorry, their purple helmet, purple jersey, black pants is a good look, though. I don't know if they wore that one, but that's a nice look. They got purple and black are nice colors, man.
It is. It's good color. Speaking of colors, I saw a color scheme this weekend at the game I was at. I'm going to say it because he's one of my good friends, Coach Chris Powell and the Larondra Wolves. They wore gray jerseys, gray pants, and they had pink outlines, pink numbers. It was obviously for breast cancer awareness, but the aesthetics –
it was a lot.
Maybe we can work on. Yeah, we can maybe work on it a little bit.
Well, guys, Santa Monica wore orange jerseys. That's what they wear every year against
EA. And I don't. If there's anyone from Santa Monica or East Ascension who knows the reason, I've been trying to find out for quite some time. I think it's really cool.
Okay.
But if y'all could let us, do you know?
I got you.
Okay.
I got you. All right. So this started. Got Lance too. So look, at least to my notes, I think it was like since 2014 they started doing this because the big thing was East Ascension would wear camouflage like we're hunting the gators, and as the kind of a jab, Santa Monica said, "All right, well we'll wear orange."
I love it.
I don't love the jersey. I don't love the jersey. I love the concept.
No.
I love the concept.
Yeah.
But it was it was still probably one of the most exciting finishes of the night. That was
I like it.
Orange jersey's not for me, but I do love the idea. But
yes,
guys, Carr 41-0 on Jesuit gave up less than 100 yards offensively. That's insane.
Well, how about yeah? I mean, what Carr? It's crazy.
Jason, I was just going to point out that
Jesuit turns around and plays Curtis next week too.
Yeah, that's tough. But I was talking to a Jesuit coach over the weekend who also believes Carr is the best football team in the history of Louisiana. So
yeah, look, we had discussion with a guy Kevin Fayard a few weeks ago, and they kind of I appreciate they kind of pushed back on my statement. They said, well, what about some of the Curtis teams? And I said, look, I didn't get to cover them as much, to be fair, but this Carr team is just top to bottom, man. Really, there's no weakness. There is no weakness on this team, guys. It's really going to be tough for somebody to beat them.
Yeah, well, and those Curtis people have something. They could have something to say about it. They play in 2 weeks, and they may as well. They might just play twice this year. But no, it's like another week, another big win for Carr. It's
Vanderbilt, guys, Vanderbilt Catholic, an unbeaten team as well, out in the Bayou area, 41-9 win on Ellender. I think Vanderbilt Catholic, again, another team under second-year head coach, really doing a nice job this season of stringing wins together.
E.D. White had a big win as well.
That goes. I think that's a perfect example of a team that is another one very, very battle tested. They started 0-3 because they played Holy Cross Jesuit, Hawnville. Here they are now. And their district play is easy compared to what they're used to seeing.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
They beat Lutcher. They beat Lutcher this week.
That's right. They're Lutcher this week. No doubt. Well, they're good.
I think we got all of it. And
I think we knocked it out. That was that. I tell you what, we keep playing games like this on Friday night. We could have 2-hour shows. That was a jam-packed Friday night. That lot of good finishes, a lot of fun finishes. Those of you still watching, we appreciate it. You'll follow us on social media, our X account, subscribe to our YouTube account. You can watch live. You can watch on demand. You can also find us on VSN. Yeah, share it. Put it out there.
Please.
Spread the word. This has been a whole lot of fun. It feels like we're just getting started. We got 3 weeks of the regular season left before we jump into the playoffs. Every Sunday and Tuesday night, you can find us right here at 8:05 to either recap the week or look at the week ahead on Tuesday nights. For Lance, for Jason, I am Cass. We will see you again on Tuesday night to preview Week 8 of the Louisiana high school football season. Again, we'll see y'all on Tuesday night at 8:05. Thank you.